Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this town hall. We're going to kind of give you a little update on what's been happening and a lot of information, hopefully, about events coming up. Go through a little housekeeping like we always do, and then talk about both programs. We're recording this, and so it'll be on Twitch as well. It'll be on YouTube. We can hold the questions to the end. I'll answer them at the end, but you can type them in the chat at any time, and we'll try to keep track of them so that we can get to it. We basically have a hard stop for only an hour in there, and as always, we'll have more of these events coming up as the months go by. These are kind of repeats of our last slides, and I just kind of wanted to put them in here just because with FRC just kind of cranking up, the FTC folks, I guess, heard it a lot more. I just want to keep it in everybody's mind is, safety is our number one thing. I mean, we're trying to keep everybody safe. We're trying to limit the number of people at events to keep people away from each other as much as possible. And we're being flexible enough to, follow any state or local venue guidance changes that come along the way. The big thing right now is, and, I know there's things changing other places, but masks are mandatory at the right now at all of our, for teams and volunteers. So everybody at the venue, masks will be required in order for you to come. And again, just kind of a repeat, but in these hybrids, and we're not talking about championship at this point. We'll hit that a little bit later, but we're doing these smaller single day events. We're limiting it to just the team members and mentors that are, on the list to come. All the judging is remote. So, the majority of volunteering is remote. We not only have judging, but we have online AV people and commentators and all that kind of thing as well. The big thing is with, we just got through an award ceremony, our last one for FTC qualifiers tonight. But when FRC starts up, it'll be the same thing. You'll compete Saturday and Sunday, and on Tuesday nights at 6, we'll have the awards come out then. And then the big thing is, we have Twitch that'll be available for viewing by everybody, and the recordings of all the events come out on YouTube as well. Just kind of jumping into the FRC side of it. We currently have 112 FRC teams out there. I think if you look, it shows 113 in the system, but one of them is backing out of competing this year. They decided not to compete. So 112, 3 rookies. We have two events in the Greater Richmond area and 4 in the Greater DC area. And I will say they're all very full because we weren't really planning around 112 teams. And, we have a couple of teams that are also doing third plays as well. A kind of a reminder on here is all events require an event-related consent release form. That link that's on that right there, that eventsforchesapeake.org/consent-release is basically the where you'll go to fill it out, and it'll have a piece on there where you can actually grab the consent and release form, fill everything out, put in the event that you're going to, and it's a totally online thing, so that when you get to an event and you go to check in, you will see you'll actually see be able to see all the people that are at there have to have the consent finished in order for the team to get in. The next thing on here is, we're planning on having week zeros and a combined week 0 pre-inspection events. The big thing on that is there's the two locations that we're having. So it's at the venue that we're having all the events at in DC, at the old high school. And for the week 0 pre-inspection, that's going to be at Deep Run High School in Glen Allen. And the big thing to point out there is one's on the 26th. So one's on Saturday and the other one's on the Sunday. So if you look at the piece on the bottom, I know somebody just put a question out there about this, is your mentor one can actually sign up to make selections to get into them. We're limiting the number of teams at the week zeros to 10. And we're trying to do it so that when you do inspections, you come through, we try to do like 6 teams or so an hour just so the inspectors can keep up and we don't have a backlog, a big long line. Right now, in that system, and you can see where it is. All the lead mentors from all the teams have been sent a user ID and password to get into that. So you go to that eventsforchesapeake.org, :9095, and you sign in there. You sign in there, and you'll be able to select that you want to go to either one event or the other event, and then we're going to do a lottery to actually assign them. For pre-inspections, the slots for pre-inspections are 1 hour. The week zero is going to run from 10 to 2, so it'll be running that whole time. But we're trying to bring them in for the pre-inspections, just a small group at a time. So that's, certain many will go in first hour, second hour, third hour, and we may vary the number of people depending on how many inspectors we can get. But that's what we're trying to do with it anyway. So the other thing I want to point out is the consent and release piece. If the lead mentor goes into that selection link, the registration system, you can also view for all the events that you're signed up to do. You can also view all the consent release forms that are there. So you can look at your team and see everybody that's signed one. So before you get to the event, you'll know who didn't. And I will say that consent form is also available. It also runs on a cell phone. So we've had people with FTC that got there, forgot to do it, and you can do it right at the door. So, it's our way of doing contact tracing if we need to. And then the other thing, and this has come up a few times, and people have asked these questions as well, is that, the events will have multiple Twitch feeds. So we'll have one Twitch feed that's, so teams can do their scouting or whatever. That's going to be nothing more than the 3 cameras on the field, one with the overall view and one at each end of the field. And that'll be broadcast by itself. And then we'll have another feed that will have the kind of the combined of that with some overlays and some commentators, game announcers talking about the games themselves. So that, then everybody can kind of see for scouting purposes, because obviously not everybody will be able to go to the events. We're keeping volunteers to a minimum. And at the moment, we're trying to keep it at 20, so we won't have more than 20. And the goal is to keep volunteers at a minimum so we can, kind of maximize the number of team members that are coming to it. And we'll talk a little bit more about volunteers in a minute. But the thing I wanted to point out, because I know this is a question that pops up in different places, is the Colonial Heights venue, the ceiling is slightly sloped. So on one side, it's 14 feet. On the other side, it's 16 feet in height. And the DC venue is a 22-foot ceiling. So it shouldn't really be an issue. The big thing to remember is both of the venues, it's just one big room. We're going to put the field, somewhere in the middle of it, and then be pits around the outside. And pits are going to be relatively small. And we'll kind of talk about that in a second too. But the pits will probably be like 8x8 pits. There's no judging there, so you don't have to bring all your goodies. I just copied this slide from, there was a good chat that was on, and it's available on YouTube that you can watch, that Tess did for us last week, just talking about, how to get prepared and how to get on and figure out what it is you're going to bring to an event. And I just kind of borrowed her slide, because the thing is you want to bring enough to be able to fix your robot. You want to bring work surfaces in order for you to work, because it's one big room. We're not supplying tables or chairs or any of that. So whatever you bring in, you take out when you're done, keeping in mind that you don't have a lot of time to get in, get inspected, and get on the field. So, don't take like 12 toolboxes or that kind of thing, because it's going to be very hard to deal with that. That kind of a thing. I mean, batteries are going to be very important, mainly because the schedule's pretty tight. And in essence, most of the time, the most time you're going to have is you're going to be playing every third match. with only 18 or 19 teams. The DC ones have 19, and we might have a one or two that's going to end up with 20 there. Your matches are pretty much back to back, so be prepared for quick turnaround. Okay, looks like this is a lot of a repeat of the other one. I guess the first two we've already talked about, but the volunteer focus, we've kind of, with keeping it down to 20, we've tried to take a look at it and say, okay, most of the teams that are out there have a lot of rookies on the team. So even if it's not a rookie team, we have a lot of rookie mentors as well. I have a lot of folks that I try to walk through just navigating the dashboard and trying to get those things done. So, with that, having that, and then having a lot of students that haven't done a lot of things, we're trying to add as much as we can to the CSA, FTAA kind of side of things, and whatever inspectors, and there's going to be a small number of inspectors. The inspectors will, be there to try and help teams get their robots going and get them on the field as much as we possibly can. So that's kind of going to be our focus anyway, is just kind of try and help the fact that we got a lot of rookie teams, whether they're rookie in number or rookie in team members. The schedule's a very tight schedule, and one of the things, because we had the same problem with FTC being a tight schedule, we ended up having drivers meetings online on Thursday nights at 7:00. We do a bigger drivers meeting where everybody would talk about what was going on, and then turn around and do a mini drivers meeting at that venue, just in that morning before we go. The other one is, we're going to have minimal inspection time and minimal number of inspectors. So we're going to have a lot of shared roles. So, some people, maybe you're a field resetter later in the day, but when teams are loading in, you might be an inspector. So we're trying to do some of that so we can get the numbers up. But in essence, we're going to have a lead robot inspector and 2 inspectors, kind of full time for the event is the goal. And then we'll add additional part-timers, just for check-in time in the morning. But they do have a self-inspection process that you're supposed to go through. And I believe now there's also it's a different sheet, slightly different sheet than it is for the regular, regional type events that are out there. So that'll all get shared with everybody. And I know there's some chats coming up specifically talking about some of that. And then the judging, will be remote. The days that you're not, the opposite day of what you're doing. And here's a draft of the schedule. It may change a little, but in essence, the opening ceremonies, the drivers meeting, don't think of it as like the normal way that it actually has been in the past when we have full blown things. The opening ceremonies are going to be very short. And again, like we said, the drivers meeting probably is going to be fairly short too. The goal is to get robots, connected to the field, make sure that we got things there that are working, and so they can compete for the rest of the day, because your matches are pretty back to back. And in order to get out, to get that done in a whole day, that's kind of, it's a tight schedule. And then at the tail end, there's an award ceremony, and the award ceremony is for the people that competed that day, right? So it's not awards for judged awards; it's awards for, robot performance awards. So your finalists and your winners, that kind of thing. We'll give out the trophies and the medals and that kind of thing that day. And this, I get a lot of questions about this, like exactly where the rates are going to be in a couple of weeks. I can only guess at, just like the rest of you. But we're looking to use what's on and it's on the website. You can see what they are. The rates that are in there, and it's an or condition. So, if one or the other of those things is true, then it falls into that category. Right. And I again, I stole this stuff here from Tess, because she pulled them out and kind of tried to simplify the chart, the matrix, to not include volunteers, to just have it basically include teams and the number of team members that can come. And you can see the charts that, and this was from last week, last Thursday or whatever, but you can see the charts in both cases, the cases per 100K and the positivity rates are going down. They're still pretty high, but hopefully they'll be somewhat lower by the time we get where we are. I think we're going to probably end up being, when we start the end of the month, we're probably going to be in the moderate to substantial in that area. And if you can see that if we're in the red, we're gonna have to modify how we actually do things, and it may end up being a little more of a cohort-based thing like FTC was. I don't really think that we're going to be in that red. All the models point that we won't be, but these things have improved. You can see how much has improved in the last couple of weeks. So I think we'll be down into one of those other ranges. So, but I don't think we're not going to be in the low sequence there for sure. I don't think. I guess the thing, just before I do this one, because I think I saw a question popping in there too also, is that for judging purposes, the way the judging works is that you compete one day and you get your robot performance based on your Saturday. Different teams compete on a Sunday. There are some cases where we have overlap in teams, but you compete on a Sunday. You compete for robot performance awards. Overall, if you compete on a Saturday, you'll get judged on a Sunday. If you compete on Sunday, you get judged on Saturday. And overall, they'll give out the awards across the 2 days. That's why in the system you'll actually see it, that it has a parent in there. So if you're volunteering, when you sign up to volunteer, you actually sign up with a parent, which is the 2-day version of the 2 singles, and that's it. So you can see that the championship here is the April 6th to the 9th. It's going to be a 60-team event, not the 2 divisions. So it'll be a single division, 60-team event. We get 16 slots to Worlds, and I think we talked about that the last time we were in here. The bottom thing on there is that we actually have a trailer right now signed up to actually be at the venue, so that if teams wanted to ship their robots direct from, if they qualified for Worlds, they wanted to ship their robot direct to Worlds, they could. First is taking care of that piece. I know some teams are also working on another possibility, just to see if we can do a trailer to do your tools and all that kind of thing. But the thing, we're going to come out with a survey and see how many people are actually interested in doing that. I don't actually know how many will be. I don't know how many will be there. The championship, from a COVID perspective, we're actually going down there on Friday to look at the venue again and talk to the venue and so on. What restrictions we have and that kind of thing at this moment in time, I don't know. And again, we're hoping that that's further into April. For the most part, if you kind of take what happened last year and you look at even some of the models, the rate should be lower by then. So we should be able to have at least hoping to have more full-blown number of team members there and all that. Whether spectators are allowed or not is a different question. But there's upper decks in there, so we could separate teams from spectators also. So that's something that we got to work through. So can't really give you the exact answer to that at this moment in time. The goal also was to potentially have in-person judging for that event as well. So I don't have a matrix yet out for the championship, but that will be coming. Yeah, I imported these slides into this thing and it kind of messed them up a little bit. And then just kind of flipping now over to the FTC side of things. This year we had 266 teams. 52 of them were rookies. We just had this event this past week. And we had 150 plus teams actually compete this past weekend, which was really pretty amazing. Because of snow, we had to combine them. So it's actually was pretty crazy and trying to judge and all that stuff. Anyway, so we've completed 16 qualifying events. Okay, and we're going to have the combined FTC FRC Championship. So they're both going to be, the at the Hampton Coliseum. FTC is only going to be 2 days. It's not going to be the whole time, but it'll be the 8th and 9th in there. So one end of the Coliseum will be FRC, the other end will be FTC. For FTC, we're going to have two 40-team divisions competing in there. And, we had, because it's sponsored by the shipyard, we have the divisions are going to be called the submarines and the carriers. The one division will actually compete on that Friday. So there'll be 40 teams there competing on that Friday. And then there'll be another 40 teams competing on Saturday. And on Saturday, whoever the winning alliance is for submarines will play the winning alliances for members for carriers to get the championship. And now the thing to remember is to go to Worlds. There's for FTC. There's only 3 teams that are going to qualify to move forward. And that the 2 divisions will run just like a normal event, and you'll have playoffs and the whole thing. So and so there'll be a champion of each one of the divisions, and then an overall champion, and just like we usually run our championships for FTC. And again, the awards will be across both divisions. It won't be division by division. Okay, so now I can look at some of those questions. I don't know if when's the sign up for week 0 coming out? It actually is already out. I sent it out to mentors yesterday. So your lead mentor for your team should have it. Now I will say there's, I think three teams that have lead mentors that their emails get bounced. So if you are actually a lead mentor of a team, I'm guessing that you haven't updated your email in the first system. So you need to contact me and just let me know, so we can take care of that. So our time slot's only 1 hour. The time slots for inspection are 1 hour, but the week 0, it's for the whole time. And again, the week 0 is going to be more like a, scrimmage kind of thing. For sign up for back-to-back events, can we leave our pit set up overnight? I actually don't see why not. We are in both cases. We were asked that by some other folks. I believe, we'll be able to leave them there. It's whether we have to move them off to the side or we can just keep them in the same place. But yes, that is definitely something. We don't want you to have to truck your stuff out and back in. Okay, speaking of volunteers, when are assignments going to come out? So some of them started to come out. Week 1 has the most assignments in it, yeah, for sure. The others will be coming out. That's something we'll be working on this week. In all honesty, this past weekend having 4 FTC events kind of is a little bit overwhelming. So I didn't have a lot of time to do that, and I had to put the awards together for tonight as well. So the rest of this week will be kind of looking at volunteers and figuring out how we're going to get them in there. Is there a plan for the red? Nice to know if there's something in place. Yes, there is something in place. So even if it is in the red, we will figure out how to have some events in there. The issue is just how we make the FMS do its thing in FTC. In order to do it, I actually have to, tweak things a little bit to make it work, and we'd have to do the same thing there. But the plan is totally to have event of some kind, or another, and as large as we possibly can. And again, I don't think it'll be in the red, but one never knows with COVID, I guess. Can you volunteer for week 0, and how do we do that? I guess at the moment, the best thing is just email me. we don't have it set up in the system as a real event. So that would be the best thing, is if you could just send me an email and we'll figure it out. Yeah, how are judging work for teams competing back to back? That is something that we will have to figure out. We've talked about it as, and there's no perfect solution to it, as you probably can imagine. Is that there's a lunch break in the middle, and possibly do the judging during that. And keep in mind, there's two judging. So I don't know if you're planning on doing chairmans, right? There's a separate judging for chairmans, just like you do your presentation, the whole thing, like you always did. And then there's just the regular kind of, pit judging type of thing. And in those cases, we'll try to schedule those so that you can have that in the middle there someplace. The goal is to have, Wi-Fi access at the venue so you can do it. And it's not a ton of teams. For the teams that are doing it, we'll try to get a little side room or whatever where you can go do it. And most likely I'm going to try and do it. So I actually schedule them all, so I know when you guys are kind of playing and when we can actually get and do your interviews. It's not perfect, but we actually ran through it with FTC. We had people doing 2 events this past weekend, and they judged while they were competing or right after they competed, kind of thing. So, okay, how are we logically going from potentially 12-team events because of COVID restrictions to 60-team event? Again, I don't think we're going to be at 12-team events. We're going to be at those 18-team events in there. And again, we have to see where COVID is in the middle there. I mean, right now our restriction on us on championship first says we have to run it as a regular, a normal championship. So they don't have other options built in for us to actually take at the moment, where they've given us the flexibility on our qualifiers to be able to make those changes. The championships would require us to go do it. And maybe we have to do what we're doing, like with FTC, splitting it into multiple groups or something. Coliseum is a big venue, though. Do we have any other questions? Do FTC teams compete on one day and judge on the next day? Actually, the goal there would be to actually try to do FTC judging in person as well. So both of them would actually operate the same. So you would judge the same day you played, just like you would, we have in the past. You make hotel arrangements. You need a championship schedule, and you will have the schedule by next Monday. And because I need to do the assignments to, and they're going to be randomly put in the one day or the other. Yes, they'll be live on the same day of the event. As of now, is the entire team allowed to attend championships? The answer to that is yes. When are Promote and Compass due? I actually haven't set those yet. We'll do those, a little bit closer to that event. But for sure. Yeah, FTC judging will be in person for that. That is the goal. Yes. So for the 2 divisions set up like that, you go through playoffs to win your playoffs. So it's the winning teams, the winning alliance from, the one division plays the winning alliance from the other division to figure out who the overall champion is. And that does make it a traditional kind of setup. Yeah, the question about the red, yes, I understand. I understand what you're saying on that. And again, we will come out with a matrix. We will have information about it. We're just trying to work through that kind of stuff right now. I want it as much as I think everybody else does, because the matrix, I think, helps everybody kind of plan ahead. Even everybody would like to have a perfect kind of world where everybody from a team got to go to everything. And like I say, we're just trying to keep it as safe as we possibly can. And I'm not sure I saw that last question, but maybe I answered it. That's the FTC schedule. We will have division assignments out by Monday. I have to go back and look at all the ones, all the teams, and sometimes we do. We usually hold back like 2 or 3 wild card slots. The teams that almost qualified at each time, and that takes me a little while to go through that. And it's mainly strictly on performance, but we're close to 80 that are already there after tonight's thing. We had 4 events that did tonight. So we had, I don't know, another 20, well, close to 30 teams that qualified tonight. I don't know I don't know how to answer this one. I feel just as bad as you do. I mean, having that many teams, we are one of the larger, districts or the larger regions that are out there. And the fact of how they did it is everybody got 2 slots, regardless of your size. So if you had 10 teams in your state, you got 2 slots to go to Worlds because we were, slightly bigger. The bigger ones in there, we got an extra. We picked up a third one. I mean, in a normal year, we'd have like 11 going forward. So, I mean, it's just the way they did the allocations, which they do seem out of whack, but there's nothing we can do about it. What volunteer positions are 2 days? Pretty much all of our volunteer positions we've kind of settled on is most we have. If we cut back on the number of volunteers at these events, our key volunteers become more and more important, and we don't have a ton of them. So, if people are willing to do the 2 days, we're letting people volunteer the 2 days. No, I guess I didn't receive the questions that you sent in the form stack. I don't know if you can put some on here now or not, or you can call me about them, but it's usually better for everybody to hear the same ones. Can people stay to volunteer longer? Yeah, volunteer. If you're a volunteer, it's you're not counted as in the team member counts or anything. So yes. Yeah, if teams want to go and stay 2 days, you can go stay 2 days. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that, but yes, we obviously share a lot of the same resources across both programs. So it does. If you're anybody who's willing to help with FRC as we're starting FRC, we would greatly appreciate that. If you're on the FTC side, or we have people on the FRC side that have helped us this past season as well with our FTC program. So, yeah, at this point in time, mask mandates will still be in place for our events. And I will say, we have to live with whatever any of the venues or whatever local places put into play. At this point in time, like in DC, and I don't know if they'll keep it, but at this point in time, DC has a thing like if you go into a restaurant in DC, you're required to have a test or be vaccinated and show proof of it. So. Doesn't mean you can't get takeout, but going into the restaurant can be an issue. I don't know how long that'll be in place, but it is currently. Not sure what that last thing on there is. Yeah, so that is that question. So it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply to the venue. We're working kind of through it with them because it applies to the venue for any of the people from the DC Public Schools, and it may also apply to volunteers. So the parking situation at the DC venue is such that I mean, there's a lot of street parking and parking in the area. There's several parking garages. There's none that are right on it. A block away, there's a school that we're going to have parking in, that you'll be able to park in. But there is nothing right smack in front of the front door unless the parking spaces are open. So all the parking that's right around the school is open on the weekend. Do you need vaccine cards for Hampton roads? At this moment in time, I don't think so, but I can't really answer that because we're waiting to get down there and actually have a conversation with the Coliseum's owned by the government there. So I don't know what the restrictions are. Once we know the restrictions, though, we'll definitely tell everybody. Depending on positivity, would the schedule be modified? Possibly, yeah. I mean, it might be modified to the number of teams that can play, and we just do it in 4 divisions or something. I don't know. Fair to say volunteer positions will be out by Monday. You're talking about specifically for FTC or FRC? Full schedule for FTC come out on Monday or just a division. So it'll be just the divisions you're in will come out on Monday. And the reason that I can't put the thing with schedules gets tough, right? Because when you find out what division you're in, that's when you're going to actually get invoiced to actually play there. So, I mean, obviously if you don't, if you don't pay, you don't get to play. And so that's why once we set a deadline for the invoicing and all payments are in, then I'll put a schedule out. It shouldn't be as hard as some of these others have been. Okay, so for FRC, so the positions, we're trying to get everything set up in VMS correctly, and then we will put the positions out. I mean, one of the things I've kind of toyed with it is potentially even just doing like a volunteer town hall thing, maybe even sometime next week or something, just so people can get on and we can talk through what volunteering those 20 positions look like. Yeah, the slot thing comes back all the time. Because we're 3 states, it doesn't matter. We're in one region, and that's all. Each region gets it. There are other places that the region is either parts of states, like in Texas has a couple of different regions, and in their case, they get 2 for each one of them. I can't defend anything about it because I don't think it's fair either. And we went through that too. And if you watch the awards earlier, we have the same kind of issue on the dean's list, right? So for our dean's list for FTC, there's only 4 people going forward on it, and last year we had 7. But that's because we kind of forced it. But this year they told us, nope, can't. So. Anything else? All right. I know Nate had that question about something that you submitted via form stack, but I definitely want to answer those. And if there's stuff in there, there's questions in there we haven't covered, I'll try to get those, Nate, and I will actually send them. I'll send them out to all the Mentor 1 and 2s, the answers, if I can answer them. Let's put it that way. And you're more than welcome to give me a call and talk about them as well. Yeah, it's about when so in FTC we were freezing it a week out until we got most of the way through the season, and then I changed it because by the time we started out with more team members to begin with, we did the probably 3/4 of the middle of the season with the lower numbers, and at the tail end we could have modified one of the places, and I chose not to, just to make it kind of consistent so that people had the same experience. So we may end up with something in the middle. I wouldn't freeze it if it was in the red thing though, in that case for FRC. Yes, the Inspire 1 and Inspire 2 and the winning captain would go to Worlds. Exception being if one of them was the winning alliance captain. I mean, probably the only thing that would happen is, I mean, you could end up with, winning alliance captain and first pick being Inspire 1 and Inspire 2 winners. Then a third person would go, but more than likely it's not going to make it past the first pick. I mean, three teams is I agree with you. It's not fair, but it's how they allocated them. Yeah. And I see that, the question there about what portion of the program is heard over the venue audio versus just heard on the webcast. In general, most of the program is going to be heard on the webcast. With FTC, what we found was a lot of people just played the Twitch feed in their pits, so they could kind of watch it while they were working on their robot and that kind of thing. Because there's no audience. It's the audience is on the stream. Yeah, only lead mentor 1 got the email for the week 0 stuff, and the reason is we tweaked the registration system we use for FTC and added it in there so we could do the consent and release. So FRC mentors could actually see who did the consent and release before you got to the venue, and you're not standing there with 12 kids typing in their form kind of thing. So it works off of only one login per team, and so lead mentor 1 gets a login. It's their email address. If somebody is lead mentor 1 and they want to change it to lead mentor 2, again, just let me know and we'll just switch the email. We've done that, in FTC we do that too. That question there is, we don't know spectator wise what the restrictions are going to be or anything, and that's why we're going to the venue to kind of figure some of that stuff out, what their restrictions are as far as on us. We don't know any of those at the moment. Okay. And I see there's one there. It's not really a question, but FTC Championship being so close to Worlds. Yes, it is, but so is FRC Championship. As some would say, we're better off than some others. That's like in Michigan, their championship is the following week, which is like 3 days before they're supposed to be in Texas. So they have it. Indiana has it. There's quite a few places that are in the northern part that would normally have gone to Detroit. Yeah, as far as the judging, right now the plan is to do the judging in person. So you'd have normal pit interviews. Um, Shipping a cup to various award winners. I'm not sure what that. I guess I wasn't aware that had occurred. That is does bring up a question though. Is all the awards that we have will be coming out with for FTC will be coming out with a sign up where you want your award shipped. So the first place winners and the highest ranked teams and the first place winners of all the awards will, we're going to ship your stuff to you. We kind of waited till the end because if you have noticed, and week after week, we have a lot of teams that repeat that probably won awards at 3 different venues or whatever, and we just kind of hung on to them, and then we'll ship them all to you at the same time. And we do know the medals. The medals are probably the heaviest thing. So at this moment in time, is it only the teams allowed in, or are we going to have spectators? And that's the part. I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know what the venue requirements are at this moment. That's what we're trying to figure it out, and we will let you know, and we'll probably have another one of these town halls where we can talk through some of that stuff as well. Wild cards for Houston. I believe there are no wild cards to Houston. They like for FTC in particular, they had 450 slots, and they put all the 450 slots. Now you can have the case, and this is where I think it's going to come into play for us quite a bit. Is we're going to have the situation where, let's say, Inspire number one doesn't want to travel. They don't have to go to to champions. For FRC, if you are the chairman's winner, you can still compete for chairman's at championship without physically going there. Also, by the way, we're going to have pits at championship. Yes, we will have pits. That's what the plan right now is. And the pits will be totally separate. One side will be FTC, the other side will be FRC. It'll be in 2 different places. We plan on putting it's an old venue, interesting venue, and we have to put our own Wi-Fi in the facility and our own internet through the cable company, and so we will actually put a Wi-Fi spot in both pits. Yeah, so on these single day events, we don't provide any pit tables or chairs or any of that stuff. So if you need to bring tables and chairs, you have to bring them with you. The thing is, we're trying to minimize, like the cleaning in between and so on. If there's nothing there to clean, teams take with them what they brought in. It makes the whole thing a lot easier to sanitize. And again, the tables and all that stuff is stuff we've been talking about specifically for qualifying events. Championships, we still need to kind of work out. Concessions at the one-day events, they're basically, at this point, we're not allowing any food in. And the reason we've done that through FTC, the only food that comes in is for feeding the volunteers that are working the field. And that's it. And it's just because people take their masks off. And so they walk around with food as an excuse to not have their mask on. If Mentor One, I don't know why their code wouldn't work, but if you have Mentor One, if Mentor One's code doesn't work, you can actually do a password reset in the system, and it'll email you. It's only if their email is wrong. But if it's an email that you have, you just go on and you say, well, it didn't work. Okay, let me reset myself. It'll reset it and send you an email. And if that doesn't work, then contact me and I'll try to figure out what it is that's wrong. Enough time for you know. I guess that's kind of up to teams whether there's enough time to leave to eat lunch or not. It depends on how much you want to do across the different. If you want to talk with other teams or that kind of thing about alliances. There's like if things are on schedule, we have like an hour in there. So if teams playing the second day, can they volunteer part of the day for the first day? Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, it wouldn't be the whole team. It would just be some volunteers. I mean, when I was saying before is, I would like to have, like if you're mentors and that kind of thing that can actually help other teams, CSAs or that kind of thing that can actually help teams do different things. So, any other questions? I saw one go up and come down, so I don't know. So the week 0 link is, it's events.firstchesapeake.org and then a colon and then 9095. So it uses port 9095 to get into it. And at that, you can see an event list, but you have to log in order to see. And when you log in, you'll see a thing up top. It says My Teams. You click on your teams, and it'll let you in and do things. And then you can also, there's a consent release menu there. You can view those. Where will teams eat at the event? There's a lot of places right around the DC event where you can get food. And I will say, I think in your case, Mark, you're probably at the Colonial Heights venue. They actually have a like a diner kind of thing in the front of the building that you could actually go in and get food. I know there's some other fast food kind of places around there, but I don't really know. I mean, there's a lot, like in that venue, there's a lot of parking in the back, so you can easily do tailgating or whatever back there. There's also an area with picnic tables at it. Okay. All right. I see another question there about FTC. The time between matches, FRC is going to have the same problem during when you have a smaller number of teams competing, your time from your match to the next match is not super long in there. So you're going to be doing a lot of very close, not back to back necessarily. You might, but they're going to be close where, for FTC at the championship level, if you've got 40 teams you're playing with, you're going to be spaced out a lot. So you'll have plenty of time in between. As far as places to eat, there's a lot of places to eat right around the Coliseum that are there. They had concessions at one time. I don't know if if they're running those or not at this point, but there are plenty of places that are, walking distance right around the Coliseum that you could go eat at. There's a huge parking lot all around it. So we definitely won't even fill the parking lot. Anything else? All right. competing on second day, we don't need to be there on Friday. That is correct. You don't, if you end up on on Saturday, you don't need to be there on Friday. And really, the people that compete on Friday, the only ones that need to be there on Saturday are the winners, the winning alliance. Okay. If that's it, I'll kind of wrap it up. And I will try to look at those questions that Nate had submitted that I didn't see. So, and if there's things in there, I'll email it out to folks. Okay. And as always, if you have any other questions or whatever, feel free to give me a call, contact me, text me, whatever. I seem to get a lot of texts these days from folks. So, I try to help as much as I can, and it's, we'll get through this season. It's never fun having to run these little mini events. They're actually more work than the big ones. So anyway, everybody have a good night, and we will talk soon, I'm sure. Good night.